The Oregon Department of Transportation, or ODOT, has big-time budget problems, and recently we learned of a $1 billion hole. Yes, billion, because the agency made, wait for it, an accounting error. And a pretty big one. ODOT's assistant director had the unpleasant task of going before lawmakers to explain how exactly they thought they had $1 billion more than they actually did. It came down, he said, to a tool they used to forecast funding. That made it look like they had a lot more federal money in the bank than they actually do. It's apparently because that money is reimbursed after the fact, but the model did not take that into consideration.
It translated that into immediate federal reimbursements in the budget rather than federal reimbursements at some later date. So as a result, the cash flow model, looking at this mix of projects over time that was heavily front-loaded, projected a very large amount of federal reimbursement in the 23-25 biennium that was actually well beyond the amount of federal funding that is available to ODOT over that period of time, because our federal funds are constrained. Some of it would come in later, but we were projecting it in the 23-25 biennium.
ODOT told the Oregon Transportation Commission about the problem in late 2023, and in January of last year, the commission released an audit on it. It showed that ODOT thought it had a budget of $5.9 billion, but $1.1 billion of it was federal funding it had not yet received. Apparently, no one had checked to see how the projected budget lined up with the actual revenue it had. Lawmakers on the Joint Transportation Committee were not thrilled to hear about it last week.
I'm totally disappointed and just cannot believe what I'm hearing. Because more importantly is that you're telling us that through this whole process, we're putting it into a computer and letting them do the reconciliation. My question is, don't you have any reconciliation process? I see the recommendation that you do reconcile, but we've gone, you say, decades doing this type of modeling.
We're told ODOT has been monitoring their spending for this biennium since the problem was discovered in late 2023. And that spending has been well below what it could have been, with an extra billion that simply didn't exist.
We're currently about $800 million below. We project that we'll probably be about $1 billion below, which happens to coincide with the amount of extra federal revenue that we overestimated.
But there are some projects that will certainly be put on the shelf because of this budget blunder. They did not specify which ones, but warned there will be delays. ODOT says they've already adjusted their method for forecasting federal revenue. The audit recommends exploring alternatives to the budget modeling system being used.